All right. Good
Okay.
morning, everybody.
Yeah, we should be live. I guess you can see it quicker than I can.
Oh, I because it has the you're recording OK button I have to hit on my side.
Oh, cool. Like that, we're live. Well, Justin, good to see you. Thanks for doing this every week. You mentioned you have some questions that you would like addressed. So here we are. I will let you run the show.
Yes. Thank you for doing these weekly meetings with me. Getting to learn a lot in the process while you're sharing your wisdom and insight with the rest of the world. My thing I wanted to go over today, which is how we originally met, is you had reached out to me related to one of my properties over in the Seattle area. And I think one of your superpowers is, which you have many, but it is how to find sellers, build relationships, and ultimately that's what's getting you all these off-market deals. So, wanted to break it down for the rest of the world out there. What is your process? So we're going to go from, all the way to the deal, from not knowing the contact all the way to closing the deal. So the first thing would be is how do you know what or who to reach out to in terms of seller contacts?
Well, I mean, the first thing you got to figure out is what's your buy box, right? So you figure out what type of properties that you're interested in. And then what I did is I found them online, the Google Maps, the tax assessor maps, and I looked just my thing was multifamily, right? So I looked for multifamily buildings. Bigger roofs were more likely to be multifamily than smaller roofs. It was a very simple concept, and I posted a lot about that on my prior YouTube page. But the idea is you figure out what you want, and then you try and find those buildings online because you can
Hmm.
do the Google Street View, and it's faster doing that than just driving every street when you don't know the neighborhoods. And then if you're on the tax assessor map, which is what I would use if I didn't have a real estate agent license, you click on the parcel that you think aligns with the property, and it will show you typically the owner. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's true for all states. I know it is for a lot of them. You click on it, it shows a name or an LLC name, and it'll usually give an address associated with that entity person. And so what I would do is I just take that person in the area and put it on Google and type in phone number, and boom, their phone number usually pops up. More than 9 times out of 10, you can find the phone number within the first page of Google. Sometimes it takes some more searching, but
Hmm.
you ask about how you find these people. In most states, it's very public. And if it's an LLC, I just take the LLC and copy and paste it over into open corporates, and then it would show me who owns it for free, which was nice. So free
Right,
is better than having to spend money. There are some softwares out there people have made me aware of, but I never used any of those.
right. And on my side, I do something similar. Open corporates, I do need to include that into my process. The sites that you're talking about, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands of them out there now. Where one that I use is called PropStream. Another one out there that I use is called PropWire. There's one called Deal Machine. They all do the exact same thing. What Cody just explained, but now think about it in a systemized fashion where it gives you all the info at one time. So he's going into a map, then searching it in the county records, and then potentially open source, and then Google search for the phone number. You can use these other programs now. Most of them are all paid. So the reason they're paid is that the information is coming to you faster and at scale. So if because what you end up needing to do if you don't want to go through the free process is you're going to have to do what's called skip tracing, where you get the person's name and or LLC, you plug it in, pay the fee, which if you're doing it at scale can be like 10 cents or something. But that will generally give you name, email, phone number, and where they live. Okay, so we're now to the part you have a buy box, you have the owner of it now, and then you've found their name, their LLC name, and you've got their phone number. Now, what's that next step? How are you reaching out to them?
Phone call. Yeah, it's just a cold call. It's an
Yep.
introduction, finding a relatable point to connect with these people that don't know you. So the first one's the hardest. I'll give you an example of trying to break into a new market, right? When I just broke into Ellensburg, the 41 unit, I didn't have any connections. Making that cold call, like my relatable point would be, hey, I own property in Moses Lake, trying to break into the market. And they say, I'm not selling. So I went the broker route. I ended up working through real estate agents to get my first deal. But now that I have my first deal, my cold call gets a lot easier. The relatable point gets a lot easier. And you have to find a relatable point no matter what, whether you have properties or not. But now I get to call up all my property neighbors, say, hey, I just bought Campus Village. I'm your property neighbor. Just figured I'd call and say, hey. And this is
Mhm.
where my strategy, which I scaled with my buddy Christian for a while, and now he's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. What we did is we didn't call for a sale. So in the very beginning, when it was just me, I was just calling to learn how they got to where they're at. And then we
Right.
ended up scaling a business when I met him. And it was all about let's just learn from people that have done what we want to do and what I want to do and get to financial freedom. And so that's the route that I took it. And it's not the salesy approach of, hey, I want to buy your property for the cheapest price. I ended up paying people the highest price. I mean, of course, you
Right.
could always make it go higher, but I gave them their value. But they gave me so much more in return. They taught me how they played the game. And so, roundabout way of answering your question, you make the cold call, you don't dally on it. Some people just wait and they're like, how do I want to do this? Just dial, figure it out as you go. You may butcher it, call them back in a couple weeks,
Right.
but try and launch off of a relatable point. And as quickly as I could, I would try to book a coffee meeting.
Right. I like the comment about relatable point. Usually with a relatable point, one, you both have obviously the same thing in common, but it's easy for you to remember them and them to remember you. So that is a good point. So now you've made that call, you got the relatable point, you then ask them for coffee. Now you're going to the coffee chat. What's the next step there? How does that process look?
Yeah. So when you're actually meeting with people, you need to skip off the relatable points. And I've talked about this in so many YouTube videos, but it's so important to understand. You don't want to just find relatable points when you're actually meeting together. You have to talk about what you want to do. What's the target? What's the goal? Because if I meet with you for the first time and I just try and relate to you in every way, shape, and form, you'll be like, he was pretty relatable, but I don't understand why we met.
Exactly.
I don't need another friend, right?
Right.
Like that's the mindset. So of a lot of people anyway. But if you share your goals and what you're working on, like if I meet with you and I'm like, hey, I want to sell off some Yakima properties and I'd really like to consolidate into Seattle. Well, if I'm saying that to you, if that's my objective, and you're buying in Yakima, which you have done, that gives us a reason to work together and for you to formulate your own ideas for the next time we connect. So it's really just a matter of sharing where you're at and where you're trying to go. And sharing where you're trying to go is what gets people to want to work with you.
Got it. So we're at where we're going. Love it. And for a lot of these real estate investors, a lot of them are can be pretty private, especially the bigger they get, I would imagine. And so sometimes just talking to people about real estate and giving back is something that they think is fun. It's, they've done all the things they wanted to do. Giving back now is that one thing that they can do to get some fulfillment. So you meet with them, you have the coffee, you say what you're working on, where you're wanting to go. Then how do you parlay that into the next meeting? Are you going back home, then setting another meeting after you've done some things, or are you trying to set a meeting up right after the coffee chat?
Yeah, something I was pretty good at in the beginning, which I don't do as much anymore, but it was very important for me to grow, was to have an intention going in and a takeaway coming out. So I'm trying to be intentional of getting takeaways that I can work on. And so it could be just someone said, like if someone meets with me, I'm going to say underwrite every deal in your market. And
Hmm.
then people don't usually do it. But
Right.
if you meet with me, that is going to be 100% of the time what I tell you to do if you haven't done it. And you're
Right.
worried about, oh, I haven't found a deal. Because that's what I did. I underwrote every deal in the MLS, Northwest MLS, I should specify. There's a lot more. So I underwrote every deal. And so that's going to be my advice. And if someone met with me, that should be their takeaway. That should be one takeaway because there will
Right.
be more. And what people mess up is they go do the thing and then they don't share that they did it. I haven't had a single person since I've been trying to share this stuff, and I've been sharing info for probably 5 years now, 6 years since I made my very first YouTube video.
Right.
I don't think there's been a single person trying to write every deal in their market and tell me that they did it.
Mhm. Which
So
that's
why
the
why would I take them super seriously, right? I mean, of course I'm going to take people seriously, but it's the same way when you go meet with other owners. They're going to give you something. It's your job to remember it, apply it, and then call them up and let them know you did it. That's how I built a relationship with a lot of these really well-off people because I would get little bits of information. I'd apply it and let them know what happened for better or for worse. Sometimes it was for worse, and I'd be like, "Hey, I tried it," and they said, "Did you try it like this?" And then I tried it and it works, or it doesn't again. And relaying that info back is a great way to build rapport with people.
and it's also the easiest segue into a follow-up meeting or a follow-up call or them reaching back out to you at some point in the future, right? Because they know you're actually doing the work. It's funny you say that you have somebody analyze every deal. Usually when people reach out to me, I say the exact same thing, assuming they have a buy box. If they don't have the buy box, then I say, figure out what you want to actually buy. So if they have the buy box, then you're saying, I tell them, and I got this was off of Bigger Pockets, probably 2016, 17, somewhere in there. I was listening to one of the original, probably 50 episodes. And the guy was saying, first go back to episode 0 and then catch up on all the podcasts for the education. But then he
Yeah.
was saying, hey, there's so many opportunities to learn out there. And instead of asking everybody a bunch of questions, just literally go in, plug into a spreadsheet every deal that is in your buy box. And he said, do 100 of them. So I was doing that every day, plugging those in. And yeah, what ended up ultimately happening, probably in the 40-ish, 50-ish, they all start triangulating around certain numbers in terms of cash on cash return. So where you start seeing outliers for the good ones, outliers for the bad ones. So that's a great tip for those that are out there. If you already have your buy box, start cranking away on analyzing deals. Now, if you have issues analyzing deals in today's world, you can go watch a video on it or use any sort of AI engine to help you with that. All right,
Yeah.
so now we've got to the part where you got the relatable point, you're sharing your goal, where you're trying to go, you're following back up with them. How does it ultimately progress from a what I'm calling a mentorship to mentee to a seller to a buyer? Is it natural, just kind of parlays into that? Or are you planting seeds that you're trying to buy some of their projects or
Well, they
what?
should know that you're trying to buy something, right? You've shared
Right.
your goals at this point, what you're trying to accomplish. There's going to be a point in the conversation, not maybe not the first conversation, but second one, third one, fourth one, whatever it may be, where you ask, "Hey, we've been chatting for a while based on what you know about me. What what would you do if you were in my shoes to get to where you're at today?"
Love.
And I've
So,
asked that again and again. And I've phrased it different ways, right? Of course, when you do it the first time, you're nervous, and so it doesn't come out very well. And then the second time you do it, you ask it to someone else, maybe you get a little better and so on, but it can get smoother and smoother over time. If you were in my shoes, based on what you know about me, what would you do to get to where you're at? And that question has prompted a lot of opportunities. It's prompted me getting out of the old stuff into the new stuff.
hmm,
I bought a property from someone, old property. It was the first property that they bought. seller financed 10% down. So I bought it. Imagine that, seller financed like 10% down. You know, there's ways to do these things. And basically I'm taking their story, I'm trying to replicate it because they can then see themselves in me. And eventually I sold some assets that I bought from them and 1031 and bought another asset, but it was a brand new asset. It's what they did. They bought the old and then they sold it and bought the new. Well, I sold the old that they sold me, and then I bought the new that they sold me. I just repeated their strategy over time, and it took a few years start to finish that property I'm talking about right now. I bought in 2021, and then I sold it in 2024, or no, 2025, beginning of 25, and then I bought the brand new Sevenplex. So I just tried to rinse and repeat what they did, and it was like 7% down seller finance to buy the Sevenplex.
I love it. Because you're, in a way there, you're helping them as well, right? They're probably trying to scale, whether it's scaling up or increase the quality or whatever their goal is.
Well, they
So,
just want to retire now, but
yeah,
they told me about the phases. And so they're going to the next phase and they're allowing me to go to the next phase in the process.
yeah. Next
Yeah, it
phase
was seven
being
point 7.3% down. I just did the math on my calculator for a
nice.
brand new asset.
That's awesome. Separately, we've done a previous videos, but then the question is, where do you get the 7.3%? Go find somebody else to get it to you, or you
Well, it was a
1031 into it. Or,
yeah, that was a 1031. Again, the brand new stuff's not my first one, but what I was doing in the beginning was seller finance first mortgage for a majority, hard money essentially. It's like 12% interest second position. And so I did that on my first three deals. And then I ended up taking on partners, and we all know how that went. And so there was a lot of good and a lot of bad that came from it. But really, the bad was just learning lessons.
right.
I scaled up with partners, and that was that.
Love it. All right. So now the one of the questions somebody in the audience may be asking is, okay, so you're reaching out to these people. And now with your what you're doing, it's much smaller. Like if somebody was looking for a single family rental, literally in Seattle, there's hundreds of thousands. Now, multifamily in Moses Lake, I'm guessing maybe 1,000 or two. So, but still, there's a lot of people you're talking to. What is your mechanism to track all the people you've talked to, their name, email, phone number? What's your relatable point? What did you action item you did? Can your next follow up? Do you have a CRM? Do you just do it on
I
paper?
still don't. No, it's just in the beginning, it was worse than it is today, of course, but it's just on a name by name basis. I'd have people on my phone, and when I think about them, I'd call them or text them,
Right.
and that was it. It wasn't planned. It wasn't scheduled. It's like, oh, I'm thinking about this guy. I should message him today. Send
Right.
him a picture of the unit that I just had to evict their tenant on.
Yeah. And that's kind of if you're in the market that you're doing this investing in. I know that sometimes I'm the same way. Like I'll be driving around something and I'll be like, oh, I talked to that guy. I need to follow up with them on XYZ. So if you're driving
Yep.
around Moses Lake, you went by that property, like, oh yeah, I ended up adding another bedroom or switching property, whatever. Now you're progressively making more contacts, reaching out to them to keep that relationship going. Because I'm imagining, yes, you're buying properties from some of these people, but there's probably half or more that they're just kind of mentors, right?
Yeah. And after, let me show you something. After the first few follow-ups, so this is oh, it's still too bright. It's surprising. So after the first few follow-ups, you can kind of see that sign over there, the
Hmm.
white sign on the ground, because it
Yeah.
wasn't mounted, it just sat on the ground. So that was the first 12-plex I bought in Moses Lake. It was my second purchase. And I ended up meeting with this guy. You can see the timestamp. So it was June 30th of 2020. That's the closing day. I met with him just a little bit before that. And after talking with him for a while, he said, you know what, Cody? And then he wrote down 12 numbers on a sticky notepad, little yellow card. And asked, what are these? And he said, these are the rents, make me an offer. And that was it, just because I had kept following up and he knew about the goals. And he drove up in a beat up truck, and then closing day, he pulls up in a brand new AMG and then whips up. It's like, oh no, I've been bamboozled.
Right.
But no, it was good. It was great. And that ended up being the beginning of a great relationship.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, so now you've closed on one of the deals, whether it's a deal from that person, see, whether it's a deal from that person or somebody they know, or it could be even on market. So what are you doing to continue to grow these relationships over time?
I'm still looking at the MLS. Oh, just for the relationships. So part of it, so I bought my second deal from this person and my third deal from this person. The first one was an MLS deal.
Hmm.
After that, part of growing the relationship is showing that you can do stuff without them. And so I ended up buying the biggest train wreck of a property in Grant County. And I'm not exaggerating. It was the worst of the worst. And then I sent them a picture of me on top of the roof there and said, look what I bought. And they sent a bunch of emojis and said, good luck. So I had to show them that I could stand on my own 2 feet. There could be a person that owns 100 properties and you could just retire if you bought all their stuff. But if you can't do it without them, right, they're
Right.
not going to have that level of confidence. And so part of building that relationship was every time I bought a building, I bought a 38 unit, showed them a picture, and it's like, hey, look what I did. And I'll let you know how it goes. Then I ended up buying, I don't remember the exact order anymore, but I bought a sevenplex in Tequila, a sixplex here in Moses, three side by side duplexes, two triplexes, and then a rental house with another house in the back. I kept on buying stuff, and I just kept sending all these relationships, all these people, photos of what I was doing, trying to build confidence.
Hmm.
And then eventually I'd show them the properties, and I keep trying to learn from them.
I love it.
But you gotta stand on your own 2 feet. So you can't just expect that one person's gonna make everything happen for you.
Hmm.
I still to this day haven't had that silver bullet where it's just like one person or one bank or one thing was perfect and got me everything I needed. And I've looked, tried, it doesn't work that way. So you gotta keep growing your business outside of these relationships too. And that's gonna help build confidence. Like all the people that I owe money to today have confidence that I can pay it because of the way I built the business and the fact that I could show them, hey, I can do it with you, I can do it without you, and I want to do it with you.
Mm. Yeah, and I think some of it is that you're building this network, who knows how many are in there, probably hundreds, right? So these hundreds of people that you're talking to over time, they're giving you pieces of information that may or may not help you at that time. But
Oh, it's
there's
not
going to
that
be,
big.
yeah,
It's
is
not
it?
that big. No, locally to Moses Lake, I've got uh people that I get occasional advice from, maybe six.
Nice. So now
And then in
that's kind of like
general in
your
the
brain
network,
trust.
it's I mean, yeah, maybe 15
Hmm.
total.
Nice. So you have like I call it a brain trust, could be your circle of trust, your inner circle, whatever you want to call it. But you're bouncing ideas and everything off of them. And um, one thing I've seen on my side, the more people that you're talking to over time, you're going to get some piece of information that will hit you at the right time that applies to something like unrelated to them. This is what I'm calling like it's more like synergies where by being around all these different people, you're getting the information, knowledge to be able to do something else, whether it's expand out, scale up or whatever. So there's more than just buying the properties. It could just be, financing. It could be, insurance. It could be legal. It could be whatever, because those people have, hundreds of years of experience if you aggregate it together to help you at least minimize the damage as you're growing or avoid it altogether. Um, I know we're getting close to the time here. One last question. What would you say your secret to success on building these core relationships with people? What has been like the underlying secret?
Yeah, don't have any hidden motives. You
Mhm,
gotta put it all out there. And the saying of you don't have to remember what you said if you tell the truth,
mhm,
it's true. So put your pieces on the table, even if you don't necessarily want to.
mhm.
There have been times where I didn't want to share some of the mistakes that I've made with these individuals. Like I was my portion of it was a little less, but it was like $575,000. I had at 18% to do a deal.
Mhm.
And I wrote it all out. He's like, why the heck did you do this? It's like, I thought it was going to work. And he's like, okay, well, this is what you should do to fix it. And he gave me a plan and it worked.
Mhm.
But it was still hard. And I really didn't want to show him that I did it because I didn't want him to think poorly of me.
Right,
So you just got to put your pieces out there. When's the right time? Don't just info bomb people or something, up front. Like nobody wants that.
right. I like that. Keep it simple. Put the pieces out there. No hidden agenda. Especially like when there's two levels, right? You might have been three levels where you're brand new, right? You don't know what you know. You have zero properties.
Hmm.
Now you know what you don't know, right? And you've got a few more properties. And then there's some of these you're probably at their level or higher than them. So you're keeping it simple, engaging with these people, sharing, and at the end of the day, I'm sure you're treating them with respect to where they like when you're texting them. They like when you guys meet up I'm assuming you still meet up in person,
Oh
right?
yeah, we had dinner with them. My
Mhm.
wife and I had dinner with them last week. It was great.
Yeah. See, on the outside looking in, I'll say what I think. The you had said no hidden motives, no, and put your pieces out there so they know how they can help you. The other one I think is that you're just taking uh, at the beginning massive action, and now today is continued action. So usually what I see with people is they're wanting somebody to give it to them, or they want something without the effort. So you took the hardest part is to get rolling and take that initial inertia to get going. But the fact that you're continuing to do it today, that's what's parlaying to all these deals, right? I think people are always, even myself, I'm like, man, how's Cody getting all these deals? These are from like hundreds of conversations from multiple years meeting with these different people. They know what Cody wants. He's putting basically people out to find stuff for him because the pieces are on the
Well,
table. They know what you're looking for.
and it's not only that they know what I want, they know that I will perform. Is this
Right.
is something that I haven't really said lately. Don't really think about it as much, but you have to strengthen the weight of your signature. This is like what I focused on
Mhm.
sharing when I was getting started. When you say you're going to do something and then you do it, it builds trust and you just figure out how to make it work. This is something that I shared in the beginning and now I truly understand it. It's like you get stuff done out of necessity. When I had a issue with one of my sewer lines and
Mhm.
I didn't have the money, you know what I figured out how to do? You
Ask.
have to do it, right? And it's not as much pressure when it's just a relationship and someone says, "Well, I'm going to do this," and then they don't do it. The pressure's off, right? It doesn't have to happen,
Mhm.
but you should treat it just like the sewer line. I have to get this done, or I'm going to have to put them in a hotel. I'm going to have to take out a credit card loan because I don't have the money, right? If you don't have the money,
Right.
the pressure is not on, but it should be just like that situation.
Right.
So that's how I've treated my relationships. It's like if I say I'm going to do something to the best of my ability, I'm going to get it done. And if people become unreasonable, then which I have seen, which is it's just crazy. Some people get weird with money.
Yeah.
You put them on the back burner for like a month, and then you knock it out and you say your goodbyes. Like I've had to do that twice, which is unfortunate.
Right.
But every time I've done what I said I'm going to do, and it's coming back now. It's not
Right.
easy, but it's worth it.
I think one good thing that you just said there. Well, one that quote. I mean, I felt like we're signing the Declaration of Independence or something. Strengthen the weight of your signature. I mean, I just imagined you in a wig and a wool outfit with a
Oh
feather
my.
quill.
Yeah, I would need a wig, wouldn't I?
Yeah, but the you executing on what you say, no matter what market you're in, and especially if you're in a multifamily market, there's not a lot of people playing in that space. So even the ones where you're not having an ongoing relationship, you close that with a bow. You didn't burn the bridge because what ends up happening is these small group of people, probably, for most cities, it's probably less than 50 people and they probably know each other. So by maintaining those relationships, even with the ones you're not, wanting to continue, at least you have a positive viewpoint in their mind so that when they're talking with other people, that carries forward for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway I could instill in somebody. If they could just get that away, it's like strengthen the weight of your signature.
Hmm.
If you say you're going to do something, people trust you're going to do it. Like on this Ellensburg deal, right? I had a lot of issues that popped up, and not with the deal, but just with some of the structuring. And I told Max, the broker on it, because Max is going to be a wealth of opportunity. I believe it's going to be a wealth of
Right.
opportunity for me. And so I told him, I was like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna get it done. And
Right.
we got it done. So that strengthens that relationship a lot. I told him about the issues after we closed, and he said, thank you for not telling me all of it before.
I I know. Yeah, but we both have been brokers, right? You literally cannot count money until it's literally in your bank account. It's
Mhm.
amazing how many deals fall literally at the signing table. We've had deals fall apart. So kudos on you. Although, I mean, he would have been ultimately stressed out if you did tell him in advance. So, but at least he knows that he executed. Now, literally, you're probably at least top three on his list of first people to call as soon as he gets a seller that wants to sell to him. So, because you recency bias, he knows you closed on this other one, and you have a network of people, and he's just focused on how can I get this next transaction done. So he knows you can execute. Is there,
Exactly.
I know we're after time here. Any last parting thoughts on building relationships for off-market deals?
Not a whole lot. I don't think you need to overcomplicate it. Everything you want, someone else has. You need to figure out what it is you want, who has it, connect with those people.
Mhm.
Not a lot
Exactly.
more complicated than that. And the stuff that I thought I wanted, I did want at the time, but if I was able to look a little bit further and know that it was possible, I would have wanted different things from the start and I would have pursued them. So and now I'm playing the cleanup game, but we're getting there. Just try your best to identify what you think you're gonna want in 20 years, 30 years, and build a business for that. Don't build a business for 2 years from now.
Exactly. Right. But ironically, I'm working on that right now. I'm resetting a new vision. This is for my agent side of the businesses. And once you have that vision and the goals that you're trying to work for, not only yourself and the people on your team, but everybody around you that you share it with, it just helps you. You're putting it out in the world and trying to manifest it and bring it back to you. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing everything here. I mean,
Yeah,
me myself, I love learning this stuff because it helps me, right? Now I'm like, I literally already just pulled a list. I had my VA go to PropWire, pull a list of all multifamily properties um, between Everett and Tacoma, and skip traced all of them, and then
it's a long way.
exactly. So for me, what I'm going to do is start with Snohomish. I live in Snohomish, and actually, I'm in a 10 unit right now. I need to buy this one. I mean, the market rent is 2,000, we're paying 1,400. And so there's like so much value into this one. That's my goal, is to buy this 10-plex that I'm living in right now.
Sweet. Make it happen.
All right, sir. Well, you have a good rest of your day. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week.